We're ready to go. All rise, please. Honorable Judge Hollowitz presiding.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. First, I want to welcome everyone this morning, say good morning. Welcome to the 2014 mock trial. This is round one of that competition. I want to wish both teams good luck this morning, but before we actually begin, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some introductions here of who's actually in the courtroom here, the judges as well as the bailiff today. With that, I'm going to ask Deputy Fleming to stand up and introduce himself.
Deputy Fleming, St. Clair County Sheriff's Office, working the jail, well, working there. It'll be 9 years in March. Good luck to both teams.
Thank you very much. Next, I'm going to go to Senior Assistant Mona Armstrong.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mona Armstrong, and I'm a Senior Assistant Prosecuting Attorney here in St. Clair County. So I have had the opportunity to try a number of murder cases as you're going to be doing here today, and I'm very encouraged to see what you're going to do and look forward to your presentation.
All right, next, Sheriff Donlin.
Good morning, I'm Tim Donlin, Sheriff of St. Clair County. Been with the Sheriff's Office for 26 years, the Sheriff for the last 6 years. You're in for a wonderful morning. It's really enjoy this every year. Our deputies come and we're the bailiffs. Fortunate enough to be a judge this year, so good luck and enjoy your day.
Thank you. And Attorney Mark Davidson.
My name is Mark Davidson. I'm an attorney practicing in Port Huron here for 38 years. Do quite a bit of litigation and I enjoy being in the courtroom. I was sworn in as a lawyer in this very courtroom in 1975. So. But I've judged this every year that they've had it, and it's always been my pleasure to do that, and I look forward to a good battle this year.
All right, and Mr. Kelly.
Morning, everyone. My name is David Kelly. I've been an attorney for about 4 years, and I currently am the law clerk for the Circuit Court judges here in St. Clair County. Good luck to both teams.
All right, thank you. And my name is, again, Mike Hollowitz. I'm a sitting judge here at the 72nd District Court. My actual courtroom is the one down the hall where I sit every day here in Port Huron. My background is a bit diverse. I started my career in the prosecutor's office, and from there I spent 10 years in private practice before I went back to the prosecutor's office and worked with Mike Wendling. I was his chief assistant prosecutor for about 5 years. I was elected to the bench 4 years ago, and I've been sitting ever since, obviously. That's my background, but now we're going to start with your case today. So what's going to happen first is I'm going to call the case formally of the people of the State of Superior versus Sam Seaside. And I'm going to start with the prosecution table. I'm going to ask you to stand up and tell me who you are and basically put your appearance on the record. I'm also going to ask that the witnesses do the same. So with that, you may begin.
I'm Amos Pravet. I will be directing Devin Blast and crossing Ronnie Johnson, and I'll be giving you the opening statement.
All right, thank you.
I'm Savannah Bentz. I'll be direct examining Cameron Paul, and I'll be cross-examining Parker D. I will also be delivering the closing statement.
Thank you.
My name's Haley Kilbass, and I'll be directing Casey Vince and crossing Sam Seaside.
My name is Maggie Schuler, and I'm portraying the role of Devin Blast.
My name is Sarah McFarland, and I'm portraying the role of Cameron Paul.
My name is Cody Lukes, and I'm portraying the role of Casey Vince.
All right, and same to the defense side, if you could do the same.
May it please the court and members of the jury, my name is Ethan Daniels, and I will be portraying a defense lawyer in this case. I will be cross-examining Sam Seaside, portrayed by Savannah Grew.
Thank you.
I will be cross-examining Devin Blast. I will also be giving the closing statement. May I now introduce my co-counsel, Jessica Jean.
May it please the court and members of the jury, my name is Jessica Chung, and I will be portraying a defense lawyer in this case. I will be directing Ronnie Johnson, portrayed by Amber Lattice, and I'll also be crossing Casey Vince. May I now introduce my co-counsel, Paul Rupel.
May it please the court and members of the jury, my name is Paul Rubel, and I will be portraying a defense attorney in this case. I will be directing Parker D. as portrayed by my witness Andrea Krieger, and I will be crossing Cameron Paul. I will also be presenting opening arguments in this case.
Thank you very much. With that, then, are the people ready to proceed?
Sure.
All right, and is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes.
All right, then I'll ask if the prosecutor wishes to give their opening statement.
One of the first things you learn in law school is an old saying that goes like, if the law's on your side, argue the law, and if the facts are on your side, argue the facts. Today, the prosecution has both. You will hear about a relationship between two people, Nikki Shore and Sam Seaside today. You will hear how the relationship has gone down the hill since their senior year is coming to a close. You'll hear about the arguments that have gone between them the past few months. You will hear about Sam Seaside and her willingness and excitement to go to college this next year. You will also hear that Sam Seaside is willing to do anything to make sure this happens. And by be willing to do anything to make this happen, I mean lie and murder. You will hear that Sam's grandma was willing to pay for her college as long as she looked good in her eyes. Sam would do anything to keep this good look in Sam's grandma's eyes, even if that means lying to her, neglecting to tell her about a party that she has thrown where a gun was stolen and a window was broken. She also neglected to tell her about a time she was caught plagiarizing. But what was the root behind all of this? Nikki Shore. Nikki Shore was the thing that could be causing her college to be put in jeopardy. Sam couldn't let that go. Sam had to murder Nikki Shore with a gun, shooting him in the chest so she could go to college. To make sure that the only way that Sam could do this was to make sure that her grandma never found out about the wrong she has done. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Your Honor, I, Amos Prevet, and my co-counsel today, Savannah Bentz and Haley Kilbas, are here to prove that the defendant, Sam Seaside, has knowingly killed Nikki Shore. As prosecution, we have the burden of proof. We must prove these elements today beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense is going to throw theories in your face today that we ask you to ignore. They will say anything to get you off the course of the facts that will be seen today. The defense will be telling you possibilities that could have happened, but we will give you facts. We need to make sure that you look at what's probable today and not what's possible. We are going to meet our burden today with 3 witnesses. First, you'll hear from Devin Blast, best friends of Nikki Shore and Sam Seaside. You will hear that she has known their relationship better than most people, and she's been friends with them since the beginning. You will also hear the motive behind this case, the fact that Devin knows about Sam's grandma and her willingness to pay for her college only if Sam looks good in her eyes. You will also hear about the party which took place at Sam's house, and the fact that that there was a gun stolen and a window broken, which Sam neglected and made sure her parents did not tell her grandmother. Next, you'll hear crime scene analyst Cameron Paul. She will tell you that the bullet found in the car from the gun that was stolen was damaged to where it has been seen to be hit something hard as bone. She will also state that the bullets from the ballistics data matched the gun stolen from the party at Sam Seaside's house. Lastly, you will hear from Casey Vince, a blood scene analyst. She links the blood found in the car to Nikki Shore. Not only the blood in the car, but the blood found on the defendant's t-shirt. She will tell you how the blood presented in the car was most likely due to a gunshot to the chest. Nikki Shore was about to start a new chapter in his life, but that was stolen before him before he even had the chance. You hear the defense try to find their way and come up with alternate situations to this case today, and we ask you to ignore those could-bes and look at the facts presented today. Don't ask yourself what's possible, ask yourself what's probable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does the defense wish to give an opening statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor. Before I begin, I would like to request permission for me and my co-counsel to move about the court.
That would be fine.
Thank you. May it please the court? Everyone has a best friend, someone you would do anything for. You would protect them without hesitation, even if it put your own life at risk. It is doubtful for anyone to believe that someone would plot to murder their best friend. This, however, is what the prosecution claims is the case between Sam Seaside and Nikki Shore. The prosecution would like to have you believe that Sam plotted to kill Nikki in cold blood. Now, we, the defense, believe that Sam Seaside did not kill anybody. The prosecution briefly mentioned that they have the burden of proof in this case. They have to prove the 4 elements of second-degree murder: that the defendant, at or about the time or place charged, knowingly caused the death of another person. The prosecution cannot prove these 4 elements. There are innumerable points of doubt when trying to accuse Sam as a murderer. All we have to do as a defense is provide reasonable doubt on any of these elements. If you at all feel conflicted or doubtful about any of these elements, you cannot convict Sam of murder. Now, Sam had no reason to kill Nikki. Sam was a good kid with plans to go to college after high school. Sam had no reason to jeopardize her future in the way that the prosecution claims that she did. Now, Sam and Nikki may have had arguments at times, but they've never had any serious physical conflicts. Besides the fact that Sam had no motive to kill Nikki, she had no method either. The murder weapon was never even recovered in this case. And both Ronnie Johnson and Sam Seaside will say that Sam was never seen with any weapon that could have killed Nikki Shore. Parker D. will even present that the blood that was found in the vehicle could easily be explained by the fact that Nikki Shore, the supposed victim in this case, had chronic nosebleeds. Speaking of Nikki Shore, she is the biggest point of doubt in this case. Her body was never recovered. Without a body, we cannot prove that anyone has officially died in this case, and as a result, there cannot be a victim, a murder, or a murderer. Now, we the defense feel that we can and will provide reasonable doubt for many of these elements, and we ask you, the jury, to return to us with a verdict of not guilty. Finally, we would like to thank you for being here doing your civic duty. We know how hard it is to find time in your busy schedules. Once again, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, with that then, I ask that the people call their first witness.
Prosecution calls Devin Blast to the stand.
All right, Devin Blass.
Raise your right hand. Do you testify that your testimony with the rules of the mock trial tournament?
Yes, I do.
Have a seat, ma'am. Thank you.
You may proceed.
Will you state your name for the court?
Devin Blast.
And what's your relationship to this case?
Sam and Nikki have been my best friends since elementary school, and we've been like siblings.
And what did you observe about Sam and Nikki's relationship towards the end of your senior year?
Well, lately they've been getting into a lot of arguments. Sometimes I was afraid that they would seriously hurt each other, but I'm used to all that.
And now looking at the night of prom, did you go to prom?
Yes, I did. I went with Sam and Nikki and Ronnie.
And did people end up finding about the party at prom?
Yes, Sam blabbered around to people at prom, and a lot of people ended up showing at Sam's house.
Could you tell us who was the one that was spreading things about prom?
Nikki was.
Thank you. And how was the party?
Well, Sam was pretty mad that people came at first, but then she started drinking and she started ending up having fun, and she even did an impression of her father.
And did things get out of hand?
Yes, they did. Sam pulled out a gun and was waving it around, and people were freaking out.
And who saw Sam do this?
Not just me. A lot of people in the room did, and people were really freaking out about it.
And did Sam do anything else with the gun?
Yeah, she showed everyone that it wasn't loaded, and she put it away.
And what happened after the party ended?
Well, the gun ended up being stolen, and Sam got grounded because a lot of people came.
And what did you observe about Sam the next few days?
Sam was really upset that she got grounded, and she was afraid that her grandmother might find out.
And did you know about Sam's grandmother?
Yes, Sam's grandmother was supposed to pay for Sam's college.
And as far as you know, did Sam's grandma ever find out about the party?
No, we didn't tell her.
Now, looking a little forward to to Ronnie Johnson's pre-graduation party, could you tell us what happened that night?
Well, I arrived there early, like most people, but Sam and Nikki arrived together late, but that was kind of weird because they were kind of mad at each other. But Nikki was having fun, but
Objection, narrative.
I can ask another question, Your Honor.
All right, then the objection is sustained. Go ahead.
And what happened that night at the party?
Sam and Nikki got into a pretty heated argument, and Joe had to break it up.
And what was the argument over?
Nikki was talking about how Sam was accused of plagiarism.
And do you know about the plagiarism?
Yes, I did, but I didn't tell anyone about it.
And why didn't you tell anyone about it?
Because me and Sam are really good friends, and I wouldn't do that to her.
And was Sam's grandmother ever told about the plagiarism?
No, she wasn't.
And did you see Sam after the argument that happened?
No, I didn't, but if I were hurt, I would have been around Nikki, and
were you worried about your best friends?
yes, I was. They've been getting into arguments a lot lately, and sometimes I was afraid that they would seriously hurt each other, and they've been just getting so fed up with each other.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Defense wish to cross?
Hello.
Hi.
You attended a party at Ronnie Johnson's house, correct?
Yes, I did.
And you claim that Sam Seaside and Nikki Shore got into an argument there?
Yes, I did.
Would you consider this argument heated or violent?
Yes.
Are you familiar with your witness statement?
Yes.
Would you recognize a copy if I showed it to you?
Yes.
Let the record reflect I'm showing the opposing counsel.
Shall.
Oh, Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Would you please look at lines 48 and 49 and read the second sentence aloud?
I would not call the argument heated or violent, just par for the course of the two.
Now, would you please direct your attention to the bottom of the page? Whose signature is there?
Mine.
So, that information was true the day you said it, correct?
Yes.
Is it true now?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I approach the witness to retrieve my documents?
Of course.
You also attended a party at Sam Seaside's Sam Seaside's house, correct?
Yes, I did.
Sam waved a gun around at this party.
Yes, she did.
Was the gun loaded?
No, it wasn't.
How do you know?
Sam pulled it out and showed everyone that it wasn't loaded.
Okay. Did she tell you where the bullets were kept?
Yes.
So, information pertaining to where the gun is kept, how it is loaded, and where the bullets are was made available to everyone in the room?
Yes.
And you said there were a bunch of people in this room too, correct?
Yes.
This firearm was later reported stolen, correct?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may proceed.
Now, looking at the argument at Ronnie Johnson's house, the argument was, could you tell us how that happened?
Well, it wouldn't be, Sam and Nikki will get into arguments lately, but I would be used to most of the arguments they would have, but someone had to break that one up.
So this might have looked bigger to other people than, or this might not have looked that big to you.
No, it wouldn't.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Anything further based on that? From the
No, Your Honor.
All right, then you may step down. People may call their next witness.
The prosecution calls Cameron Paul to the stand.
Raise your hand, please. Do you swear that you'll testify within the rules of the mock trial tournament?
Yes.
Have a seat, ma'am. Thank you.
Please introduce yourself for the court.
My name is Cameron Paul.
And please state your job title.
I'm a crime scene analyst with the Superior Department of Public Health and Environmental Lab Service Division.
Your Honor, permission to approach the bench with proposed Exhibit 7.
Sure. Thank you.
Let the record reflect that I am showing the opposing counsel proposed Exhibit 7. May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Now, will you please identify this document for the court?
Yes, this is my curriculum vitae.
Is this document accurate?
Yes, this is accurate.
And is this document up to date?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would now like to enter proposed Exhibit 7 in as evidence. Its authenticity has been stipulated.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, very well. It's admitted.
Now, describe to us your education.
From 1991 to 1995, I worked as a firearms and ballistics analyst. From 1995 to 2007, I worked as a senior firearms and ballistics analyst. And from 2007 to present, I am currently working as the chief of crime scene analysis.
Now, that's your work experience. Could you describe to us your education degrees?
Yes, I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in criminology from the University of Superior and a minor in physics from the University of Superior, with a master's degree in forensic science from the University of Colorado.
Now, beyond your work experience that you mentioned, any other training you took part in or certifications you received?
Yes, I've attended the Superior Criminal Justice Academy. I have certification in the Association of Firearms and Tool Marks Examiners, and I've attended the FBI National Academy, among other things.
And also, any other job-related activities you took part in?
Yes, I am associated with the Association of Superior Law Enforcement Officers and the Association of Firearms and Tool Marks Examiners.
At this time, I would like to enter my witness as an expert in crime scene analysis and firearms and ballistics.
Any objection to that?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then the witness's testimony received by the court is that of an expert.
Now, tell the court your relationship to this case.
On May 26th, I received a call from a city patrol officer who had been called down to Superior Park to investigate an abandoned vehicle.
Were you able to identify this vehicle when you arrived at the park?
Yes, I verified that it was a Le Mans titled to a reported missing person, Nikki Shore.
And will you tell the court your procedure once you identified the vehicle?
I noticed what appeared to be a bullet and bloodstains inside the vehicle. I immediately paged my partner, Agent Vince. We performed a complete field analysis. Agent Vince photographed the bullet and bloodstains inside of the vehicle. Then I retrieved the bullet, which I sealed and marked, and placed in an evidence bag.
Your Honor, permission to approach the bench with what is proposed Exhibit 1?
Sure.
Let the record reflect that I am showing the opposing counsel proposed Exhibit 1. May I approach my witness?
You may.
Please identify this document for the court.
These are the photos taken by my partner, Agent Vince, of the bullet inside of the vehicle.
And are these photos accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, they are accurate.
Your Honor, I would now like to enter Exhibit 1 in as evidence.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you. Now, after the field analysis, where did you go next?
I went to the defendant's house for an interview. She stated that she had last seen Nikki Shore at approximately 11:30 p.m. on May 24th.
Did you obtain any evidence from this visit?
Yes, I asked the defendant for the clothes she was wearing the night of the party. She provided me with a pair of jeans and a bloody t-shirt. I gathered this and returned to my crime lab.
And what did you do when you got back to the lab?
I conducted a full ballistics analysis.
Your Honor, permission to approach the bench with proposed exhibit 5.
Yes. Thank you.
Let the record reflect that I am showing the opposing counsel proposed exhibit 5.
Isn't there a second sheet of this document?
Not to my knowledge. No. I can provide the second page. May I approach my witness?
Back.
Please identify this document.
This is my complete ballistics and firearms analysis.
Is this document accurate?
Yes, this is accurate.
And does this document reflect the same analysis you performed on the evidence?
Yes.
I would now like to enter proposed exhibit 5 in as evidence. Its authenticity has been stipulated.
All right, very well. Any objections to that?
No objections, Your Honor?
All right, then Exhibit 5 is admitted.
Now tell us about the bullet you collected from the crime scene.
The bullet I collected from the shore vehicle is a .22 caliber. I revealed that it had been shot by a .22 revolver with 6 lands and grooves and a right twist in the barrel, and it showed damage to the nose area.
Using your expert opinion, what could have caused such damage?
This damage could have resulted from contact with anything as hard as bone.
What conclusion did you reach upon matching the bullet from exhibit 1 to a possible gun?
I revealed that it could be matched to any one of 22 brands of firearms, one of those being the Harrington Richardson 9-shot .22 revolver.
Anything significant about this brand?
This is the same brand and make of gun that was reported as missing from the defendant's house.
After these discoveries at the lab, where did you go next?
I returned to the defendant's house for a second interview. The defendant stated that she had consumed alcoholic beverages at her residence the night of the party, and that she did not remember everything from that night. I then received a box of Winchester .22 cartridges from the defendant's father that he knew to not be opened. When I examined the box, it had been opened and contained 41 unfired cartridges. 9 cartridges were missing. That is a full cylinder in the Harrington Richardson brand like the one reported missing.
And how did you receive the other 3 bullets that are noted in your report?
The defendant stated that she had been given instruction by her father on how to use the revolver, and that the two had practiced shooting at her grandmother's house. I retrieved 3 bullets identified by the defendant in a tree stump. The 3 bullets were all consistent with bullet 1 in that they all had the correct lands and grooves and could have been shot from the same gun as the one reported missing.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Great, thank you. Defense?
Yep, defense is ready to cross-examine the witness.
Okay, proceed.
May it please the court? Now, Ms. Paul, you are aware that the defendant in this case is being accused of second-degree murder, correct?
Yes.
Are you aware of the elements of second-degree murder?
Yes.
Could you please read them aloud to the jury?
Um,
They wouldn't be on that document.
oh, okay.
One of the elements of second-degree murder is that the supposed defendant caused the death of another person. Could you please tell us the victim in this case?
Nikki Shore.
And where is the location of Nikki Shore's body at this moment?
We don't know.
So you have no idea where the body of Nikki Shore is?
No.
Ms. Paul, in your expert opinion, is Nikki Shore even dead?
She is presumably dead.
What evidence do you have that supports that conclusion?
I have none.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Now again, from your analysis and the bullet you retrieved from the scene, What evidence did you have connecting the bullet to a possible gun?
My database matched that it could have been fired from the same gun as the one reported missing from the defendant's house.
Do you think this is a coincidence?
No.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Right, any other recross?
No, Your Honor.
All right, very well then, you may step down, thank you very much. Your next witness, please.
Prosecution calls Casey Vince to the stand.
You swear that you're testifying within the rules of the mock trial, Sarah? Have a seat, ma'am. Thank you.
You may proceed.
Would you please state your name for the court?
My name is Casey Vince.
And what is your current occupation?
I'm the DNA analyst at the Superior Department of Public Health and Environmental Laboratory Services.
Do you have a specialty?
Yes.
What is it?
I process abandoned crime scenes and blood stain pattern reconstruction.
In preparation for this trial, did you create a curriculum vitae?
Yes.
Permission to approach the bench, Your Honor, which would have been marked as proposed Exhibit 8.
Yes.
Let the record reflect, I am showing opposing counsel, proposed Exhibit 8. Permission to approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Ms. Vince, will you please identify the document I just handed you?
Yes, this is my curriculum vitae.
Did you create this document?
Yes.
And is everything on it accurate?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I propose to enter Exhibit 8 as evidence. Its authenticity has been stipulated.
Any objection?
No objections, Your Honor.
Right, then it's admitted.
Now, Ms. Vince, where did you attend school?
I attended school at the University of North Carolina and the University of Superior.
And what are your degrees in?
I have a Bachelor's of Science degree in chemistry with a serology emphasis, and I have a Master's of Science degree in forensics.
And what professional work experience do you have?
From September 1996 to June 1999, I was a trace evidence examiner, and from June 1999 to present day, I am a forensic DNA analyst, both from the Superior Department of Public Health and Environmental Laboratory Services.
And do you have any other training?
Yes, I have extensive training in blood stain pattern interpretation, homicide blood stain, and violent crime profile, and advanced DNA technology.
Do you have any professional affiliations?
Yes, I'm affiliated with the Association of Blood Stain Pattern Analysts and the Association of Superior Law Enforcement Officers.
Your Honor, at this time, I move that Casey Vince be admitted as an expert in the fields of DNA forensic analysis and bloodstain pattern reconstruction.
All right, any objection?
No objections.
All right, then, I'm going to receive this witness's testimony as that as an expert. Go ahead.
Okay, Ms. Vince, we're here to talk to you about the crime scene you investigated on May 26, 2013. How did you get called to the scene?
Chief CSA Paul called me.
And what did you do when you arrived?
I processed the abandoned vehicle and noted what was to be heard brown reddish stains
Where were these stains?
on the door and on the passenger seat.
After you found the stains, what did you do?
I examined the vehicle and swabbed them for DNA analyst.
Did you do anything else?
Yes, I placed them in tamper-proof containers and I found a bullet.
Did you take pictures of these?
Yes.
Permission to approach the bench, Your Honor, with what has been marked as proposed Exhibit 2.
Permission granted.
Record reflect, I am showing opposing counsel, proposed Exhibit 2.
Shall.
Permission to approach the witness?
You may.
Ms. Vince, are these the crime scene photos you took on May 26, 2013?
Yes.
And are they an accurate representation of what you found?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I propose that Exhibit 2 be entered as evidence as authenticity has been stipulated.
Any objection?
No objections.
Right, then it's going to be admitted. You may proceed.
Now, what did you do to fully process the scene?
I swabbed the bloodstains and placed them in tamper-proof containers, and I swabbed the bullet.
And once you wrapped up your investigation at the crime scene, where did you travel to next?
I traveled to Nikki Shore's house
And why did you go there?
to obtain a DNA specimen for comparison.
And what did you ultimately collect?
I collected a hairbrush from her private bathroom.
What did you do next?
I traveled back to my lab to compare the blood from the crime scene and the hair from the hairbrush.
Was anything else analyzed as well?
Yes, Chief CSA Paul collected a bloody t-shirt.
And whose bloody t-shirt was this?
Sam Seaside's.
Did you complete a report on this analysis?
Yes.
Permission to approach the bench, Your Honor, with what has been marked as proposed Exhibit 4.
Granted.
Let the record reflect, I am showing opposing counsel of proposed Exhibit 4. Permission to approach the witness?
May.
Is this the report you created?
Yes.
Is there a signature on it?
Yes.
And would you like to make any additions or deletions?
No.
Your Honor, at this time, I propose that Exhibit 4 be entered as evidence. Its authenticity has been stipulated.
Any objection to that?
No objections.
All right, then Exhibit 4 is admitted. You may proceed.
What does this report say?
It says that the swab from the car door, the swab from the front passenger seat, the swab from the bullet, and Sam's t-shirt matched Nikki's hair from the hairbrush.
Now, I'd like to talk to you about the pictures that you took at the crime scene. Would you please explain the pattern of Nikki Shore's blood that you found in the passenger door?
The blood I found on the passenger door was consistent with high-speed dispersal. As Newton's third law states, high-speed dispersal is when a force is applied to a small droplet and it creates a tiny directional mark.
In your expert opinion, what is the most probable cause for this pattern of blood?
A gunshot.
And did you find any other evidence that supports this conclusion?
Yes, I found a .22 caliber bullet
Where was this bullet?
between the passenger seat and the door.
Now, what about the blood pattern on the passenger seat?
The blood on the passenger seat could be transfer stains or contact stains. A transfer stain is when something with blood on the surface comes in contact with something that doesn't have blood on it.
And what is the significance of this?
That the blood fell from Nikki's chest up 15 inches above the seat.
So where exactly on the body did you believe the wound would be?
The chest.
And where is this place the shooter?
In the driver's seat.
Does this comply with the blood that was found on Sam Seaside's t-shirt?
Yes, the blood on Sam Seaside's t-shirt could be partial blowback from when he sat in the driver's seat and shot Nikki Shore.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Any cross-examination from defense?
Your duties at the state lab include crime scenes, DNA analysis, along with blood reconstruction, correct?
Yes.
So you're very busy with your job.
Yes.
In fact, you're overworked.
Yes.
And you also work with a lot of old equipment.
Yes.
And on top of that, you are underpaid, is that correct?
Yes.
And much of your job, you say, is done with instinct, correct?
Yes.
Instinct being something natural and inborn.
Yes.
And you said your job is also done with common sense.
No.
Are you familiar with your witness statement?
Yes.
Is it true the day you gave it?
Yes.
And is it still true today?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness with their witness statement?
Sure.
Let the record reflect I'm showing opposing counsel. May I approach?
You may.
Could you please read line 70 out loud for the court?
Much of forensic investigation is instinct, common sense, and logic.
Thank you. So much of your job is done with common sense, is that correct?
Yes.
Common sense being something with a sound judgment.
Yes.
And you also say you only deal in facts, correct?
Yes.
And a fact is something indisputable.
Yes.
Okay. And you visited the Shore residence to collect the victim's hairbrush, correct?
Yes, from her private bathroom.
And no one confirmed for you that it was Nikki Shore's hairbrush?
Correct?
But you just assumed it was hers?
Yes, it was from her private bathroom.
So you just assumed yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. And you had to replicate that DNA from the hairbrush, correct?
Yes.
And you only took one hair?
Yes.
You didn't take multiple hairs to see if all the hairs in the hairbrush matched, did you?
No.
So it's possible that the brush could be used for multiple people?
That could be true.
Thank you. Now, for the crime scene swabs, you ran a test. What test was that?
It was hemotrace test.
And what is a hemotrace?
It's the binds of human blood on a card, and if it's human blood, it appears a purple band.
Okay, thank you. And after determining that the swabs were blood, you compared the DNA of the hairbrush against the DNA from the crime scene, correct?
Yes.
And all four swabs of blood were identical. All four swabs of blood were identical to the DNA you obtained in the mystery hairbrush, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And not actually knowing whose hair was in the hairbrush, can we be 100% sure that it is Nikki Shore's blood?
No.
And you stated earlier you only deal in facts, correct? But you just assumed it was Nikki Shore's hairbrush.
Correct.
And because of that assumption, you only assumed it was Nikki Shore's blood in the car, correct?
Correct.
Are you willing to send someone to jail based on an assumption?
No.
Now, the bloodstain pattern was consistent with high-speed dispersal, correct?
Yes.
And small bloodstains on the passenger door were created by a high-speed force, correct?
Correct.
Which would result in a high-speed spatter,
Such as a gunshot
right? Which could be created from a gunshot, or it could also be created from a sneeze, correct?
or a gunshot.
I'm sorry, was that a yes or a no?
Yes.
Thank you. So Parker D's theory is actually possible, correct?
It is possible.
But you called it baseless speculation, correct?
Yes.
And earlier in the trial, we heard that Nikki Shore had chronic nosebleeds, correct?
That is correct.
So is Parker D's theory actually baseless?
No.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
You proceed.
Now, Miss Vince, did you have any reason to believe that the hair on the hairbrush wasn't Nikki Shore's?
No.
And in your opinion, what most likely caused the blood pattern that was found in the car?
A gunshot.
No further questions, Your Honor. May I approach the witness to retrieve my documents?
You may. Any recross?
No, Your Honor.
Right. You may step down then. With that, then, there's no other further prosecution witnesses, so I'm going to ask the defense if they wish to call their first witness.
Defense calls Samantha Seaside to the stand.
Right, Seaside.
You swear to testify within the rules of the mock trial tournament? Have a seat, ma'am. Thank you.
You may proceed.
Good morning.
Morning.
Please state your name, spelling the last for the record.
Samantha Seaside, Seaside.
Sam, why are you in this courtroom today?
Because my best friend Nikki Shore has gone missing.
How long have you been friends with Nikki Shore?
Nikki and I have been friends since elementary school.
So you've gotten to know each other rather well.
Yes, sometimes too well.
What do you mean by too well?
Well, we would get in little arguments like brother and sister fights, but we always made up.
Did your arguments ever raise concern with anyone?
Devin Blast, one of my other friends, always used to make a big deal out of it, but I never even hit Nikki.
So Devin, Nikki, and yourself did things together.
Yes, we hung out at my house after prom with Ronnie and Joe.
So you had a party at your house that night.
Well, it wasn't really supposed to be a party.
What made it a party?
A group of hooligans showed up and it became one.
Did this cause any problems?
Yes, it got a little wild, but the cops weren't called or anything.
What do you mean by wild?
Well, our liquor cabinet was broken.
And how was it broken?
I'm not sure.
Was anything else damaged during the party?
Our dining room window was broken
When did you notice that the window had been broken?
on Sunday when my parents came home.
If anything, what else did you notice when your parents came home Sunday?
My father reported that his revolver was stolen.
Did you get into trouble for this?
Yes, I was grounded, which really sucked because Ronnie Johnson was having a party the next weekend.
Who was Ronnie Johnson?
He's the most popular kid in our school. His party was going to be the best and probably the last one of my senior year.
Did you go to this party?
Yes, I did.
How did you get there?
I rode with Nikki.
Did you and Nikki stay together once you got to the party?
No, we split up when we got there.
What was he doing when you saw him again?
He was talking to his new group of friends about the time I was accused of plagiarism.
And did you approach him because of this?
Yes, it upset me greatly, so I pulled him aside and asked him to stop talking about it.
What did he do in response?
He got mad at me and it escalated from there.
What do you mean by escalated?
He threw his keys at me.
How did this fight end?
I sort of lunged at him to get him to listen to me, and Joe stepped between us, and I guess she hit him in the face.
Where did you go from there?
I just wanted to get out of there and away from everyone, so I went and sat in Nikki's car.
How long were you in the vehicle?
I'm not really sure, just until I heard Nikki and Joe walking out towards the car.
What did they do when they got there?
Joe was talking to Nikki about how he needed to stop drinking so much.
And once Ronnie got into the car, did he say anything to you? Joe, sorry.
Joe asked me just to drive Nikki and Joe home.
So where did you go first?
I started towards Nikki's house.
Did Joe and Nikki continue arguing on the way home?
No, it was silent the whole way home until we got to Nikki's.
What broke the silence?
Nikki refused to get out of the car, so I drove around to the playground.
What did you do when you went to the playground?
Nikki and Joe started going at it again, and I didn't want any part of it, so I walked home.
What time did you get home?
It was before midnight, so my parents never knew I was out.
This is the last night there was any report of Nikki Shore. When did you learn of her disappearance?
On Sunday, when my mom woke me up to talk to an officer.
And what did the officer want to know?
He asked me questions about Friday night, when I had last seen Nikki and where.
And what did you tell the officer?
I told the officer everything. I was just in shock, and it was super hard for me.
Why was it hard for you?
Because Nikki's my best friend, and they just assume he's dead. They aren't even looking for him. I just don't believe it.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Right. People wish to cross-examine?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
So you're the first in your family to go to college, correct?
Yes, I am.
So would you say that going to college is very important to you?
It is very important.
Now, it's my understanding that your parents couldn't afford to send you to college and that you didn't receive enough financial aid to pay for it, so your grandmother offered to pay for it under certain conditions, correct?
Yes, she did.
One of these conditions was to stay out of trouble, wasn't it?
Yes.
Now, you knew that she was serious about these conditions because isn't it true that your grandmother wouldn't pay for your cousin's college tuition when he got caught cheating in high school?
That's correct.
Now, you were accused of plagiarism, correct?
I was, yes.
You were punished for it as well, correct?
Yes, I was.
Did your grandmother know about this prior to this trial?
No.
So neither you or your parents told her?
No.
And the reason you kept it so quiet was so that she wouldn't pull your college funding, correct?
Yes, I wanted to go to college.
Nikki also knew about this indiscretion, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Isn't it true that Nikki was beginning to hang out with some people you didn't care for?
Yes, that's true.
And he was drinking a lot, correct?
Yes.
Now, on the night of the party at Ronnie Johnson's, Nikki got drunk and started to tell other people about the plagiarism, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And he knew why it was so imperative that no one else found out, didn't he?
Yes.
Weren't you already mad at Nikki for inviting more people than you wanted to have at your party the week before?
A little bit.
You guys had a physical altercation over at Ronnie's, didn't you?
Well, it wasn't really an altercation. I just tried
But you
to get
did lunge at Nikki, correct? Yes. And isn't it true that this altercation became so intense that Joe had to break it up?
Joe just stepped between us.
This caused you to leave a little earlier than expected, didn't it?
Yeah, I went and sat in Nikki's car.
But isn't it true that you had already planned to leave with enough time to get home because you were grounded?
Yes.
Weren't you grounded because your parents found a broken window and liquor cabinet along with your father's missing gun from the party the week prior?
Yes, that's true.
Not only was the gun missing, but bullets were as well, correct?
Yes.
Specifically, 9 bullets were missing from your father's new box of bullets, which is the same amount of bullets it takes to fill the full cylinder in his gun, correct?
Yes.
Now, these bullets were not stored with the gun, were they?
No.
Did your grandmother know about this?
No.
Now, you were quite familiar with handling the gun, weren't you?
I knew how.
In fact, you were given specific instruction on how to use the .22 caliber 9-shot revolver, correct?
My dad and I. Yeah.
Let's talk again about this party at Ronnie's. After you and Nikki fought, you left to go wait in the car, correct?
Yes, I did.
And Nikki got in the passenger seat and Joe in the back, correct?
Yes, that's true.
So your original plan was to drop Joe off and then go to Nikki's house and leave the car there, correct?
I headed towards Nikki's once we got in the car.
That was your plan?
Yes.
But you've testified today that instead you took the car to the park and left it there, correct?
When Nikki refused to get out of the car, yes.
So you went there even though everyone would have to walk?
Yes, Nikki wouldn't get out of the car.
But isn't it true that the point of leaving the car at Nikki's was so that he wouldn't have to drive home drunk?
That's true.
Now, Nikki's mom called you the next night, desperately looking for Nikki, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
And when she asked you if you've seen him, you told her that you hadn't seen him since Friday afternoon, correct?
Yes, I didn't want to get in trouble.
Therefore, you lied to your best friend's mother when she called in a panic, looking for her son Nikki, didn't you?
If I would have known Nikki was missing, I would have told her everything.
But you did, in fact, lie, correct?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anything further?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may redirect.
Sam, were you drinking at the party at Ronnie Johnson's house?
No, I was not.
So, you were the one you were the only candidate for driving?
Yes, that's true.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Does that bring up any further cross-examination?
No, Your Honor.
All right, very well, then you may sit down, thank you. You may call your next witness, defense.
Defense calls Ronnie Johnson to the stand.
All right. Ronnie Johnson.
You swear that you'll testify within the rules of the mock trial term? Thank you.
Could you please state your name and spell the last for the record?
My name is Ronnie Johnson, Johnson.
And where are you currently enrolled?
Superior State University.
And how was your high school experience for you?
I would say I had a good high school experience. I had a lot of friends, and I did well in school, and I also loved playing tennis.
And how did you know Sam and Nikki?
I grew up with them, and we went to high school together.
Did you know how the relationship worked?
I think everyone did. I would best describe it as unpredictable. Sometimes it'd be like a roller coaster. Sometimes they'd be really close, and the next day they'd be fighting.
And from your observation, did they ever end up into these arguments?
Yes.
And from your observation, what would happen at the end of these arguments?
Eventually, they'd realize that they were just being ridiculous, and they'd make up. They really did care about each other.
Okay. Let's move on to the party that Sam threw. Based on your observation, how did that party turn out?
I thought I had a great time. A lot of people showed up, and Sam was entertaining all of us.
And how was Sam entertaining?
He did a really hilarious impression of his dad. It looked just like him.
And did anything stick out to you that night?
Joe Turner's behavior was actually really weird to me.
And could you please elaborate what you mean by weird?
Well, everyone was in tuxes and dresses because it was prom night, and she showed up kind of in an old jeans and an oversized sweatshirt.
Okay. And did you talk to Joe that night?
Yeah, I stopped her in the hall and just wanted to see how she was doing, and she was really agitated and said she couldn't wait to leave this town behind.
And was there anything significant that happened regarding Joe that night?
She also kept going in and out of the study. I mean, we were all in there, but she was going in there multiple times.
Okay. And let's transition to the party that you threw. How do you think your party turned out?
It was great. It was even better than Sam's. A lot more people showed up.
And based on your, do you know when Sam and Nikki showed up at your party?
Yeah, they showed up pretty late. The party was halfway over.
And based on your perception, how was Nikki acting?
Nikki was in a great mood. He was flirting and laughing and talking with everyone.
Okay. And how did people react to the way Nikki's attitude was?
Most people enjoyed it, but a few didn't.
And who were some of the few that didn't?
Joe Turner had a problem with it.
And why do you think that?
I really don't know. I think Nikki and Joe dated for a while, and I really don't think Joe's over it.
Okay. Was Joe following Nikki around through the night?
Yeah, at one time I overheard Nikki saying, "Leave him alone."
Okay. And did you ever see Sam and Nikki together at your party?
Yeah, they ended up actually kind of getting into a little disagreement.
Could you please elaborate more on that?
Well, I really didn't think it was that big of a deal. In fact, I think it only got worse when Joe intervened.
And did anything else happen between the three that night?
Well, the next time I saw them, they were all leaving, and I really didn't want them to because the party was just getting good.
Okay. And did you notice anything else about Nikki and Joe when they were leaving?
Yeah, they were getting into an argument. Joe was saying how disappointed she was in him, and that he needed to stop embarrassing himself.
Okay. And how was Sam acting during all this?
Sam seemed kind of annoyed a little bit, but he said she had to drive them home because they couldn't drive themselves.
And did Sam inform you who he was going to drop off first?
Yes, Sam said she was going to drop off Joe and then drop off Nikki. And then walk home from there because she had to get home before her parents came home.
Okay. And do you know if any of them made it home?
I actually don't.
And did Mrs. Shore ever call you?
Yes, she called me the next night, Saturday night, and informed me that Nikki was missing, but I told her I didn't know where he was.
And what events caused you to believe that Sam had nothing to do with Nikki's disappearance?
Because she was a good kid. We were all friends, and although Sam and Nikki got into arguments sometimes, she would never do anything to hurt him.
Thank you. Are no further questions?
All right, very well. Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
You stated that Nikki's and Sam's relationship was unpredictable, correct?
Correct.
And you actually even stated that sometimes it was total war?
Yes.
And you knew about Sam's wanting to go to college so bad, didn't you?
I think we all wanted to go to college.
And Sam was talking about this frequently lately, correct?
Yes.
And now looking at the party at Sam's house, the prom party, you saw that Sam was mad, or you even knew that Sam was mad at Nikki because Nikki invited people over knowing that he shouldn't have.
But eventually Sam got over it and started having a great time.
And you even stated that he partied hard.
Yeah.
And by partying, you mean doing an impression of her father, correct?
Yes.
And you even stated that you might have seen an impression of Sam doing the impression of Mr. Seaside with a gun.
I actually don't remember that.
But you did state something like that was brought up in your witness statement, correct?
Sam was doing an impression of her dad, yes.
And you did state something about a gun.
Yes, I stated I don't remember.
And you were intoxicated that night, correct?
We were all partying, yes.
And alcohol could have done something to make you fully not remember.
But it really didn't. I remember clearly.
But you did mention something about a gun and that you were drinking.
Yes.
And you also mentioned that people were moving in and out of the bathroom that night.
The study, yeah, the bathroom was in
Yep.
there.
And so everybody, whoever had to go to the bathroom that whole night, had to go through the study.
Yes.
Now, looking at your party, you were surprised that Sam and Nikki came together, correct?
Correct.
And you also stated that they got into another argument that night, but that was nothing unusual.
Yes.
And you even stated that it wasn't that big of a deal.
It wasn't.
But it was a big enough deal where someone actually had to get in the middle of things and break it up.
Joe was kind of like that.
But it did need to be broken up, correct?
Joe chose to broke it up, yes.
Yeah. And now you talked to Sam before Sam left, correct?
Correct.
And Sam specifically told you that the plan was to drop off Joe first and then Nikki and leave the car at Nikki's house and walk home.
Yes.
You also stated that Sam, right before she left, was fed up.
Yes.
And you know that the real reason Sam had to get home was because she was grounded and not supposed to be out, and she had to get home before her parents found out.
Yes.
And so the last time you saw Sam was when Sam was in the driver's seat of Nikki's car and Nikki was in the passenger seat, and Sam left fed up.
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anything further from the people? Or excuse me, defense, I'm sorry.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Great. Then with that, excuse the witness. Thank you. Next witness.
Defense next to call Parker D to the stand.
All right. Steve.
You swear that you'll testify within the rules of the mock trial term?
I do.
Have a seat, ma'am. Thank you.
Please state your name, spelling the last for the record.
Parker D, D-E-E.
And would you explain to the court why you've been called to testify here today?
I've been called to testify to give my expert opinion on the possible murder of Nikki Shore.
And have you reached an opinion on this case?
Yes, I have.
Thank you. Now before we get to that, let's hear what qualifies you as an expert in this case. Could you please tell the jury where you attended college?
I attended college at Superior University where I attained my Bachelor's of Science in Criminology in 1979 and then my Master's in Forensic Science in 1981.
Thank you. Now what career options did you explore after graduating college?
After attaining my master's degree, I went on to work for the State Forensic Unit, where I was a DNA analyst, and then promoted 11 years after to a senior DNA analyst.
Miss D, what do you now do for a living?
I now run my own private investigation firm, which I have ran since 2001.
Thank you. Your Honor, at this time, defense moves to recognize Parker D as an expert in the area of DNA and forensic analysis.
Any objection?
No objections, Your Honor.
All right, then the witness's testimony received is that of an expert. You may proceed.
Thank you. Now, you mentioned earlier that you had reached an opinion on this case. Would you please now say that opinion for the court?
Yes, my expert opinion, based off of the state laboratory's findings, is that there is not enough evidence for a murder of Nikki Shore.
Thank you. You mentioned something about the findings of the state laboratory. What did they provide you for this case?
The state laboratory provided me with a firearms and ballistic analysis, a forensic analysis, and the photographs taken of the car, but not the vehicle itself.
Now, if I were to show you the photographs of the bloodstains in the vehicle, would you recognize them?
Yes, I would.
Your Honor, permission to approach the bench with proposed exhibit, what has already been entered as Exhibit 2, the bloodstains of the vehicle?
Granted.
Let the record reflect. I am showing opposing counsel. May I approach?
You may.
Now, Ms. D, could you please describe the documents in front of you to the jury?
These are photographs taken by Casey Vince.
Now, could you please briefly describe what is being pictured in the second photograph?
The bloodstains found on the seat and passenger door.
Now, what was the state laboratory's conclusion as to why the bloodstains appeared on the passenger seat in the vehicle?
They were caused from a gunshot wound.
Now, what did you conjecture as to why they were actually there?
They could be explained by a nosebleed falling from 15 inches.
Now, how about the bloodstains on the passenger side door? How would you explain those?
Well, that would simply be explained as a nosebleed followed by a high-velocity sneeze, where you would just turn your head and go against the door.
Now, is there any way to be sure of any of this?
Without a body, no.
What problems lie with there not being a body in this case?
Without a body, there cannot officially be a victim.
So Nikki Shore may be alive and well somewhere, and we may not know it.
Yes, correct.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right. Prosecutor wish to cross?
Yes, Your Honor.
May proceed.
Now, you did not physically examine the vehicle, is that correct?
No, it was not provided for me.
So all of your opinions regarding evidence were based solely on some photos and reports you received?
Yes.
Now, you would agree with me that even the best photos do not compare to an actual physical crime scene analysis, correct?
Correct.
Now, you studied some blood droplets from Exhibit 2, is that correct?
That is correct.
And you highlighted in your witness statement that these could have been caused by the cutting of one's hand who was not covered properly, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So arm, head, even a chest wound that was not covered properly could have caused such droplets?
Yes, that is a possibility.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on, let's talk about the bloody T-shirt. You stated that it is unable to know how or when the blood stain was made on the T-shirt, correct?
Correct.
Meaning, in your opinion, it could have been possible to happen on, let's say, May 24th, 2013?
It could have.
Okay. And in connection to that, you also did not deny that the blood on the bullet matched the other blood samples, correct?
Correct.
Now, you took an opinion on the issue of the shot spray, and you said it was most likely caused from a combination of a nosebleed and a sneeze, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But even though you made an opinion on it, you said you have no complete way to be sure between the difference between a gunshot spray and a nosebleed combination, correct?
Without a body, no.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Anything further from the people?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense, I'm sorry.
Ms. D, can you conclusively say that the blood found in the vehicle is a result of a gunshot wound?
No, I cannot.
You do agree that it's possible that it is caused by a nosebleed?
Yes, I do.
As a result, you cannot be absolutely sure that it is caused by a nosebleed.
No, I cannot.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right.
May I approach the witness to review my documents?
You may. Any further cross-examination from the
No,
people?
Your Honor.
All right, you may sit down, thank you. All right, there seems to be no further witnesses, so at this point, do the people wish to give their closing argument?
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Your Honor, it is so easy to get caught up in this case and lose sight of the basic fundamental here. We live in a fortunate country where life is an unalienable right. This cannot be stolen from you. For Nikki Shore, this was not just simply diminished by old age or an ailing condition. No, this was stolen from her. Of course we can grieve, but there comes a time where closure for the Shore family is the most essential to the healing process. So many questions. Who's to blame? How can we trust in these findings? That's why the prosecution was here today, to answer all of these questions, to bring this peace of mind and closure we so desperately crave, and to prove to you, the jury, that you should bring this closure as well. We also heard from the opposing counsel. Now, my team, the prosecution, has the burden of proof. Remember this, ladies and gentlemen. We are throwing cold, hard facts at you. They are simply trying to just deny our claims. Excuse me. We proved to you beyond a reasonable doubt the elements of this case, and that Sam Seaside knowingly killed Nikki Shore. You witnessed this today by precise cut findings, our experts, lay witnesses, and evidence brought to the table. Our opposing counsel, the defense, simply tried to deny our claims and distract you from the possible conviction. They are here attempting to defend a woman whose odds are stacked against her. That woman is the defendant, Sam Seaside. From the prosecution, we heard from our first witness, Devin Blast. Devin is a friend of Sam and Nikki's. She's grown up with them, knows the relationship, and absolutely obtains the ability to make an opinion on this relationship. She also stated not only was she worried about Sam and Nikki's relationship being in jeopardy, but she also found out from the defendant that he was worried about a scholarship from his grandmother. He claimed that anxiety came from Nikki Shore. We learned from Devin an undeniable motive. We also heard from two well-trained and well-qualified experts today. The first was that of Cameron Paul, expert in crime scene analysis and ballistics. Cameron Paul not only was the bullet in the car fired and has damage from something as hard as bone, she stated, but that the bullets matched the other 3 bullets retrieved from the defendant's grandmother's house as a practice shooting location. What was particular about these bullets is they all revealed from a state ballistics database matching one of 22 guns like any bullet would reveal, but coincidentally, one of those 22 guns was a 9-shot 22 revolver Harrington & Richardson brand. This was the same gun that was reported missing from the defendant's house on May 20th. Casey Vince analyzed the blood today, and not only did she link the blood to the car, from the car to the bullet and the t-shirt, but she also matched that blood to Nikki Shore. She analyzed the crime scene and found that the blood splatters were conclusive with a gunshot to the chest, and placed the shooter in the driver's seat of the vehicle, the same vehicle that Sam was driving that night. We learned from Agent Vince physical DNA evidence. From our opposing counsel, we saw tireless efforts to revive the 3 strikes that we had against them. Their lay witness, Ronnie, had not had a close relationship with Sam. She was just a simple schoolgoer. We can't trust someone that threw a party and went to prom with them to make an opinion on the relationship of Sam and Nikki when she has not known them all that well. Their expert they interviewed today works in a private firm. He doesn't have to be here. He's being hired by the defendant to be here, is getting paid by the defendant to be here. And she didn't even examine the physical vehicle herself. But she still managed to make opinions on matters that only a real analysis of the crime scene could prove. We also heard from the defendant today. We noticed many inconsistencies or lies with the defendant today. Sam has resorted to lying many times in order to save her scholarship, and even plagiarized once, forcing other people to lie for her in order to keep that scholarship from her grandmother. But in the context of this case, she lied twice. First, she lied to Ronnie about who was dropping off the car. She said she was going to Nikki's, and Nikki refused to get out of the car, and they ended up at the park. So she lied not only about that, but also she lied to Nikki's mother. Nikki called her frantic. Called her and said, I can't find Nikki. And Sam said that she had not seen her since Friday afternoon and neglected to tell her about the party or any of the other events that happened that night. Why would she do this to a mother that was in need, a distraught mother? Why would she lie about any of this unless she had something to hide? We need to bring closure to this family, and someone needs to be held accountable for this. Again, we have the burden of proof in this case. These are cold, hard facts, ladies and gentlemen. They did not prove any of their theories that were possible. We proved a theory that was probable. All wrapped up, this is a perfect combination of why we are here today and why you, the jury, should find the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt and no other state than guilty. Thank you.
Thank you. Defense?
May it please the court. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Sam Seaside has a strong relationship with Nikki Shore, and friendship is a bond that holds strong through stressful situations. Today, the prosecution claimed to have the facts on their side. Both of their experts admitted that their evidence was not. Both of their experts admitted that their evidence was not relevant to this case. Casey Vince admitted that she assumed the blood was linked to Nikki Shore. Cameron Paul flat out stated that he would no longer be willing to send Sam Seaside to jail. This is why we ask you to return a verdict in favor of the defendant, Sam Seaside, not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you. Prosecutor, any rebuttal close?
No, thank you.
All right. We're all set. case is concluded. At this point, the judges are going to go back to jury room, and we'll come back out in a few minutes with our comments. Thank you. We're in recess.
All right.
Thank you very much. Be seated. All right. First off, very good job, guys. First round, everybody's nervous. You guys did a very nice job. The way we're going to start this here today is we're going to give you some feedback, and I'm going to start actually with Deputy Fleming, who did the timing, to see if he has anything he wants to add here. Is there anything you want to add about the timing?
Just real quick, tone, you guys' tone was real good. My big thing in corrections is your tone. Your tone controls the room, this is your guys' stage. Just like when I put on this, during the day, I'm quiet. When I put on this uniform, I know I gotta be assertive, gotta have eye contact. A lot of you guys have good eye contact. Amos, what are you gonna be when you grow up? Huh? You don't know? You got good tone. So, this is a career you're going into, you're going in the right field. The only thing I gotta say is, closing, you had a minute. You only did a minute. You got 5 minutes. This is your stage. Take the full 5 minutes. We're here to watch you. That's the only thing I gotta say.
All right, thank you. Next, I'm going to call on Ms. Armstrong.
Everybody gets to take a breath now. You got the first one under your belt. And I have to tell you, we just in general all agreed that this was one of the best first rounds we've seen. A lot of us, I think all of us have been doing this for multiple years. So very good in your preparation and in getting things ready to present your case. So, and because it's the first round, we want to give you some things to chew on and think about and maybe use in the future as you present this case throughout the day today. I think what Deputy Fleming said is right on about tone. I think with a lot of you, what I was interested in was how conversational you could be when you were either doing your opening, closing, questioning witnesses. It's a lot easier to understand as a juror if it's conversational. The other side of that, though, is one of the things that I wrote down probably 5 times in my notes was to slow down. We've all read this material, which is unusual. Jurors don't normally have that ability to know the case as well as you when you're presenting a case. It's something that you know like the back of your hand, but the person or persons that are listening to it hasn't heard it. So you all know from your life experience, if someone reads something to you and they go fast, it's a lot harder to absorb it. But if you present it in small chunks, so with some of the questions, if you consider breaking those down, I think one of the answers that was given regarding the 6 lands and grooves and the bullet and some of that technical information needs to get broken down so that it's understandable to who's hearing it. There just a couple other just moments that I caught as this case was being presented. Cameron Paul conceded that this was a presumption that this victim was dead and that there was really no evidence to support that. And it was one of those moments where if you're the defense, you close your book, you're done, you finished your job. That's a double-edged sword in this case because number one, it needed some rehabilitation. Your witness needed some rehabilitation. You needed to go back and explain how that answer came out. On the other side, we didn't hear it in closing. If you're the defense, that's the biggest concession that was gained from this entire case. Your whole case is there's no body, there's no body, there's no body. And you need to be talking about it in opening, you need to be talking about it in closing. When you get a concession like that, you want to make sure you use it. It's just a reminder that, of course, you all have your scripts, and you've been working very hard together to develop those scripts, but don't get completely tied to them, because then you'll miss the concession that you worked so hard to get, and you won't be able to exploit it as you present the case. So just be mindful of those things, but I do have to tell you, I'm so extremely impressed with the job that you guys did, and obviously I appreciate how much effort you put into presenting it. Thank you.
Sheriff Donald.
Well, outstanding job this morning. I know the first one is tough. When you said slow down, I have it written right down here too as well. You know, in my perspective, I sit in the witness stand. So I'm not a prosecutor nor a defense attorney, so I get crossed quite regular. And so that's where I'm gonna give you my perspective. Couple things, know your reports. When you're gonna take that witness stand, you know, you have to know your report inside and out. You have to know what statements you made, because you will be impeached. And I saw that twice today where the professional witness, law enforcement, what have you, wasn't completely sure of their statements. That's a cardinal sin in police work. You know, good cops study their reports before they go into court, and they go in there confident and comfortable and approachable, and that's how you have to testify. The other thing, look at the jury. A couple of different witnesses throughout the morning, when the prosecutor was asking them their questions and they were teammates, they were fine, they were looking at us. When the defense come in, they lost track of us and locked right on the defense. We're the people that you're talking to. Whether you're being crossed or not, you're talking to us. You look at them and then you answer the jury, because we're gonna make the evaluation of your credibility. So look at that jury, know your police reports. Good luck on the next 2 rounds.
Mr. Davidson.
First I want to say I really like the way Team 2 introduced each other. I thought that was very well done. It got us very comfortable with you, introducing the witness and having the witness stand up, and then introducing the next attorney and moving on like that. I thought that was very effective. I'll echo what Ms. Armstrong said, that I thought you were, it was really like it was a second or third round. I mean, you did not seem to have the first round jitters at all. I know most of you are pretty experienced in it, have done this before, but that really kind of did strike me. The impeachment was excellent, catching the inconsistencies in the testimony between the witness statements, and that was very well done. You got right up there and got that in, made the point, and impeached the witness effectively. The one thing that struck me as odd is that when the defendant was on the stand, she wasn't asked, "Did you kill Nikki?" No. That's just something I think you always want to do. You've always read articles about how, you know, the witness didn't take, or the defendant didn't take the stand, but that can't be held against him. And in these cases, in mock trial, you always have to take the stand. So I think it's important to get that in, and to not have that in is kind of like, why didn't they ask that? But the other comment is that in your materials you are given the instructions that the judge is going to be reading the jury, and there's no reason not to go ahead and kind of work those into your argument. The people have to concede that it's a circumstantial case because there's no body. So I think it's important for the people to emphasize, yes, we realize this is a circumstantial case, and then maybe even take the instruction, but the judge is going to instruct you that a circumstantial case is okay to have and develop that. I thought both the closing statements could have gone a little longer, reinforced the things that we'd already heard, and then again anticipate what the judge's instructions are going to be, because for jurors, we're just there, we don't really know what's going to happen, and so when one of the attorneys for either party says what the judge is going to say, and then the judge says it, that makes them seem more credible when the jury goes back to deliberate the case. But I thought you both teams did very well, and good luck in your future rounds.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Judge. Yeah, good job to both teams. I agree with what my co-judges have already said. I thought the openings on both sides were very well done. It's easy to get up in your opening statement and make it your opening argument and start to want to argue at that early stage, and both sides properly went through, this is what we're going to prove, which I've seen other teams not do that. Went through the witnesses that you're going to call, and I think perhaps maybe spent, I know you have 5 minutes for opening. My opinion is that you really need to emphasize your closings more. In my own opinion, that the closing is more important than the opening. When you do your closing, the evidence has now been submitted. We have it. I think what happened here is you worked hard on your openings and your closings. It's easier to have a script for your opening because you know what you're going to say. It's going to be the same every time. Your closing really has to reflect what came out here in this case. You're going to do this 3 times today. You're going to have 3 totally different trials, even though it's the same case. It's going to come out 3 totally different ways depending on what questions are asked and what answers are given. And I thought for both teams, the closings didn't reflect what happened here today. It reflected what you came here prepared to say. So if you can, and it'll be easier now that you know that to improve that in rounds 2 and 3. Also, I thought that both teams did a very good job on your cross-examinations with, in terms of leading questions. Good rhythms were used in terms of pacing of your questions. It moved. At times, that wasn't the case in direct, and it never really can be, just based on the rules. But at times, the direct exams felt very scripted, and I know it's hard not to do that because of the limitations. But you guys can work on that as to make it, as I think Mrs. Armstrong said, more of a conversation instead of people reading lines. But the witnesses on the whole did a good job. Like Sheriff Donlin said, you really have to know what's in the report. If you're looking down or if you stumble, then we're going to say, oh, they're not prepared. One last thing that came out during the prosecutor's closing, there was some reference to what some of the witnesses said about, well, they gave their opinion that so-and-so were friends or weren't friends. That really doesn't matter. The only witnesses that can give their opinions are the experts. The lay witnesses that come in, we just want to know, what did you see? What did you hear? What happened? What their opinion is as to what they thought about the people really doesn't matter. So I think in a real case, there would be some problems making those kind of arguments. But good luck to both teams in rounds 2 and 3. Both did a good job.
Thank you very much. Last and not least, I guess I have a few things to say too. A lot of what I think has already really been said. I think that the feedback that you've got is really constructive to both teams. You guys did a really good job. I mean, this is the first round. This is the start. Now the butterfly should be out a bit. The more you do it, for all of us in anything, it comes easier. But the one thing about trial work that I think that you guys should come away from this round thinking about as you go farther is that it isn't really about a script. In the real world, you get a prosecutor's got a police report, and the police witnesses said this, and the police officer saw that, and they go into trial, and frankly, it never really comes out exactly the same way as it was in that police report. The story isn't the same. And so every time you guys have a round, you have to be listening to what every witness says. That's the one thing. Some of you guys did it better than others. I thought Jessica did a good job of listening. I was watching you as you did this. You were listening to what your witness said, and you did a real nice job with that. And a lot of you guys did that too. But listen to what's said, and you're going to have to try to weave that into your closings on both sides, because the things that come out, you're never going to know what somebody's going to really say, and you can frankly jam it down their throat in the closing argument as part of your theory of the case. And Paul, I think you did a nice job catching that exhibit issue, and it's not that that scored bad against you guys or anything, but having the guts, frankly, in the first round to point that out is a good thing. That's part of the competition. That's part of what we're trying to do here. And so nice job with that. But overall, to both teams, you guys did a great job. And I really wish you good luck in the future rounds, and have a lot of fun, okay? Have a great day. We're in recess.